This is Tech Addicts. This week, no new iPhone 14 Pro for you this Christmas. A sneaky peek at the Pixel 7a, Samsung superfast charging, LastPass got hacked, the clear scene clears the scene, and the new loop deck looks fancy. Hello and welcome to the Tech Addicts podcast. I'm your host Gareth, and this is Ted Salmon. Ted, how are you?
I'm not Anthony Daniels. I've never heard of him, and I don't watch Star Wars and never have watched Star Wars. Just to explain to you, you poor listeners, the Sado Gareth was listening to PSC from last night and said, "You've got Anthony Daniels on there," and he's all excited. It must be the actor, the bloke that's in Star Wars and does the voice of some robot or something, which I didn't know. And
C3PO.
And I think if it had been him, we would have known. But Gareth has now gone off on a conspiracy theory.
Well, Steve's being cagey. I asked him on Twitter if that was him, and he didn't say yes, and he didn't say no. So it's something in between.
Oh dear, you and your Hollywood stars. Oh no, it's not started
start
already, is it? Good grief.
We've lost Ted.
1 1 1 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
There he is.
For goodness sake, it started already. What is wrong with this?
I'll just write down all the times. So that's 2 minutes in.
Well,
2 minutes and 40 seconds.
Let's hope that's a starting. Mind you, we've been talking for. How long have we been talking for?
That's true.
Half an hour or whatever. 20 minutes.
We used up the good bandwidth.
Right. Where do we get up to? Oh, you were just saying about Steve, weren't you? Yeah.
Yes, he's being cagey. That's either a yes or a no. Or that's not a yes and that's not a no. So we need to know. Was it or wasn't it? Tell us now.
That's very funny. Juliet Purcell, bringing us things back to earth, says that on last week's Tech Addicts, or the week before was it, when I was talking about organs, and
excuse me. Oh
yes.
Right. Oh yes, that's right.
She said that the one actually I was talking about pianolas, wasn't I? The one that you mentioned that you have to pedal to get the air in the bellows. Is called a harmonium, and of course when Juliet said that, it came back to me. It is indeed. She says that they are they used to be routinely found in Welsh chapels, and that does fit because the family that had one were religious nutcases, so that probably fits with why they had one. Anyway, thank you, Juliet. Nice bit of feedback.
Well, yes, I'm actually feeling that I need to just check and see on the Internet Movie Database if any of these people are actually celebrities, because they do crop up. And Julie Purcell, not Juliet Purcell, but Julie Purcell was one of the makeup artists on Cujo. So good job there, Julie.
Must be her. She's obviously trying to pull the wool over our eyes.
Could be.
Absolutely.
Someone who's trying to open our eyes up is Mr. Steve Litchfield, the person who has Anthony Daniels on his podcast and doesn't tell anyone. He has put up an interesting post about power station musings and trying to educate people on the ways of power stations, probably as a direct way of educating you and I in how these things work.
He was exasperated with me because I just couldn't get it. He was spouting all the physics and maths at me about what does what and how I know that this does that and this does that. And it's just completely over my head. I don't think I'm a particularly thick person, or perhaps I am. But, anyway, he wrote this idiot's guide, particularly for me, and it's worth a look for people. I mean, the bottom line is that don't expect too much from these systems. Don't expect it to run your house for a weekend if you have a power cut, but if there is a power cut, you can keep little things going like routers and charging phones, and a few electrical items that will just keep you above your head above water, as it were. But don't expect it to run the national power grid.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like a good read. I'll have to have a read through that as well and see if I'm in your team or Steve's team. I've got a funny feeling I'll be thick like you. Which sounds about right.
And the other thing he was talking about was the Anker 737, which is we've featured on the show a couple of times, and he's done a little review of that on his blog, which we'll link to again. He bought one when it was 99 quid on Black Friday, and he was wowing about it on PSE last night again, because he really likes, the main thing he likes about it is that it reads out all the data about all the things that we just said we didn't understand, but he understands it, and he can see exactly what's going on with what. It's got a little operating system of its own. It does sound really nice, actually, but it is a bit of a brick. But yeah, so we'll link to that as well.
So basically, whenever Steve gets all of his bits of power banky type thing together, he could actually power the national grid. That's what we're boiling down to here. He's got enough to be able to do that. Excellent. Yeah. Frank Niethardt has written in about Palm, because I think we mentioned Palm last week.
We did, yeah.
We did, yes. He says, I had a Palm 3 at work and my boss had a Palm 5. I have both of them, by the way. In early 2000s, it must have been. I remember the hotsync debacle.
Oh, yeah, hotsync.
The pain that was. And I can still remember the noise that it made whenever you got a successful pairing. Mm-hmm. Didn't happen very often, but we used the Novell Groupwise, Novell Groupwise at the time, and there was some software called intellisync that worked quite well with it.
I remember that as well.
But when it failed, it was horrible. And it failed frequently.
Yeah, that Novell Groupwise, or however you pronounce it, that does ring a big bell. Perhaps I played with Palm devices more than I remember. I don't know. But I didn't like them much.
I've never heard of that, but I knew IntelliSync, but I've never heard of Groupwise.
Yeah. Oh, incidentally, I got an email this morning from Nokia, from Google, saying that they're going to refund my £19.99. But then I realised that I changed my card, and so they're going to try and put it back onto a card that doesn't exist. However, apparently the banking system is clever enough now to do that automatically, as long as the account that it relates to is the same account, which it is. Then they'll still be able to refund the card. But I'll let you know. Did you get any of yours back in the end?
Oh, yeah. I got almost 90 quid, I think it was, in total, which was very nice towards Christmas, and it's spent already.
Yes.
But you can't do anything about that. It dribbles away whenever you've got something like Amazon on your phone. I've actually had to uninstall eBay from my phone because I felt I was just spending a bit too much on there. It's a bit nuts. You mentioned off show that Evercade EXP is arriving now-ish, and people are able to order it just in time for Christmas. But I noticed on YouTube there was a pretty fantastic little video put up by Retro Game Corps, and they talk about their favourite handhelds of 2022. Now, these are these little retro emulation handhelds, and they have fella there has a couple of suggestions for various different sizings. It starts off with a wee micro handheld, which is like a mini Game Boy, and then there's a slightly larger vertical handheld, which is more like a Game Boy with some twin sticks on it. Mm-hmm. And then there's a retro 4x3 inch handheld, which is a wee bit more like a small Game Gear or Game Boy Advance, perhaps, that kind of sizing. Then a value handheld, which is a wee bit bigger again, which is a bit like a PSP sort of thing. A GameCube PlayStation handheld that does that sort of level of emulation, because all the ones prior to this aren't quite so powerful to be able to handle PS and PS2 and GameCube style emulation. And then he does a streaming handheld one as well, which allows you to be able to access Xbox and Steam and things like that over the internet and not actually have any gaming on it, but just accessing via the internet. It does do a bit of localized gaming, but it's not that great. And then a once and done suggestion as well for those who really want to have that big all singing, all dancing handheld to take with you, and there's no prizes for guessing which one that is. And it's an interesting walk through what he suggests for those and his favourite ones that he's reviewed this year, because he just seems to get them all in, and he seems to focus entirely on those retro gaming consoles that you see for sale on Amazon and AliExpress and things like that come with 16,000 games included, and what ones he reckons are slightly higher quality. And watching through the video, I was like, oh, I'll have that one. Oh, I'll have that one too, and that one. Oh, and they just get better as you go. I'd suggest you watch it, Ted, because it's something that you'll really quite like.
I did see a Game Boy looking device on one of these videos which had 6 buttons instead of 4. So on that right-hand cluster, going down diagonally, there was 6 of them instead of 4 of them. And I couldn't quite get to the bottom of what they were for, but it looked a bit different. So, yeah, I'll have a look at that video and check it out.
Yeah, I really like that 4x3 one, because it's an all-metal design as well. It's worth checking out. It's the Ambernick RG353M. So maybe end up with one of those. You get rid of your Evercade and buy one of those in its place and have even more games and emulation going on.
Yeah.
Okay, moving into the Hardline for the hardware. If you've been following the news, then you'll no doubt have heard... I wasn't talking to you.
Yeah, shove off, Google.
You will likely have heard of the horrors that are facing the people out there with their lockdowns and things like that regarding COVID, and that there's been a bit of a factory turmoil going on at the Foxconn plant, and it looks like 6 million iPhone 14 Pro units are going to be the result of a resulting shortfall in the amount that they produce. Ted, any ideas what they can do to try and get that back up again? No,
people just have to wait, I suppose, until that's fixed. But what's interesting is that the numbers involved, 6 million of them, are, the people, presumably, that they're going out into the retail, well, they were going to go out into retail channels, like now for Christmas and whatever. And that's not a lower end device. That's the top end device, and there's 6 million of them as a shortfall. Just goes to show how many iPhones Apple are selling, doesn't it? Amazing. But yeah, as you say in the news, there's such chaos going on in China at the moment that it's not surprising really, because if people can't go to work and that's their main place they're doing this, then that's the end of it. Apple have made noises just recently about bringing manufacturing back to America, I gather, to try and get around this. Certainly the chipset, if not the actual assembly stuff, but very tricky, isn't it?
Yeah. I was just wondering if they were walking up the road to Samsung and knocking on the door and going, "Can we borrow your line there, just for 5 minutes or so?" But I suppose whenever you combine this together with the fact that Royal Mail's going on strike and things like that, I do think there's going to be an awful lot of disappointment for those who are ordering Apple products, perhaps for their families and loved ones over the Christmas period, as gifts and presents. So perhaps Amazon should have got it before now.
Amazon will be laughing, won't they? And DPD and DHL. They'll all be rubbing their hands with glee, because apparently the Royal Mail backlog is pretty poor. Having said that, I was expecting a special delivery on Friday. Sorry, it was posted on Tuesday. Then there was a strike on Wednesday and Thursday, and good as gold, it came on Friday. The day after it should have done, taking out the 2 days of strike action. Whereas I'd read online that they had mountains of special deliveries backed up and they couldn't get them out. But who knows? And there's more strike days planned. I think it's 23rd and 24th of December, which is going to be a right chaotic mess, isn't it?
Yeah. And I ordered some Christmas presents for my son, and one of them was 48 hours guaranteed delivery, or tracked delivery, or whatever, and it took almost over a week for it to get to me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't actually affected by the strikes. It wasn't sent on a strike day, so it should have gone as normal.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so if you're expecting an iPhone 14 Pro for Christmas, you might want to be setting yourself up for disappointment.
Well, it is possible you might receive a Samsung with an Apple sticker on the back.
Yes.
That could work. All right, one other thing that you could order instead is the ZTE Axon 40 Ultra Space Edition.
Yay!
Because these names just get more and more exciting as they go along. And it's got specs to boot. There's 18 gigabytes of RAM, which is always necessary, and 1 terabyte of storage, Ted. There you go. What do you think of this?
It's lovely, isn't it? I want one. But apparently, I'd forgotten they did the same thing last year with the Axon 30 Ultra. They did a Space Edition, and I'd completely forgotten that.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's a big device, a 6.8-inch device with Android 12. My OS 12. That sounds dodgy, doesn't it?
Your OS 12.
The last time I played with an Axon, I do seem to remember it being quite close to quite close to kind of stock vanilla Android, but who knows these days? That was quite a long time ago. 1 terabyte of storage and 18 gigs of RAM. There is a 12 gigabyte and 512 available. But yeah, it'll be a bit of a beastie, won't it? But look at the price. I was surprised when I scrolled down on GSM Arena. They're talking about €800, which kind of well, unless they've got it wrong, you would think that would be much more expensive than that. But don't know.
Well, the 18 terabyte one is flipping heck, right? Okay, $1,075, €1,035 for 18 gigabyte, 1 terabyte.
Oh right, I'm not seeing that anywhere. Right,
it's on the link that you put in it.
Oh, okay. No, sorry, I was on the GSM Arena page looking at the specs.
Ah, right, okay.
So where's the €800 come from then?
See the bottom picture that has the box.
Oh, you've read that in Chinese, have you? Well done.
Above that, the paragraph above that, you cheeky rascal. But it also has a 6.8-inch AMOLED 120Hz display, a 16 megapixel camera, under display camera that is. So that'll be the front facing one actually. Yeah. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, which I suppose some people will sniff at that, but it's fine. 5,000 milliamp hour battery, 3 64 megapixel cameras on the back, one of which is a wide angle, another is an ultra wide, and one for a periscope.
And they've slightly changed the island on the back, haven't they? I mean, this is basically the Ultra, the Axon 40 Ultra, but they've just made it look a bit spacified. One of the things they've done is made the island of the camera a bit different, and also the back is made of ceramic or something, isn't it? So it's kind of, I suppose it's supposed to make it feel like it's space age and different. Yeah.
But does it have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack?
No. Oh. Nor has it got a memory card slot.
Hang on a second. Someone's saying it's got an FM radio, 3.5 millimeter audio jack, SD card slot, and an IPS screen. And I'm looking at the bottom of it, and it's got a
IPS screen. It's not. It's an AMOLED. I think you're looking at the wrong specs. Yeah.
No, it's in the comments at the bottom.
Oh, I see. Some idiot that has put the wrong comments in. Yes, very helpful.
Right, okay. So I don't think they do FM radios now. Well, some people do, I suppose. It's one of those attractive features that you see in cheaper phones.
Well, it depends on the market, doesn't it? I think they're still kind of putting them in for developing nations. But 5,000 milliamp hour battery, no Qi charging, but there is 80 watt wired charging, which is great. We like that now.
Yeah. The rumour mill is a whirling in a milli kind of way, with the rumours of a Pixel 7a. Mm-hmm. It's that time of the year again where there's much speculation. We'll have to wait 6 months before we actually get it. What can we expect in the lineup for the 7a?
Well, I think it's mostly about styling, but it's going to look like a 7. So with the pill-shaped cutout for the camera and the and the solid aluminium or whatever it is camera bar with a sharp edge, rather than the subtle one that's on the 6A, which I think is much nicer. I've got a Pixel 7 in at the moment for review, and that's the first thing that my first observation was that it's just so lumpish, and that great big camera thing on the back is just too big. And you look at the 6A, and it's much more. Oh, blimey, not again.
You're okay.
1,
you're okay.
2, 3, 4.
You're back again. You're back in the room.
Okay. Make a note of that.
I have. Yep.
The one on the back of the 7... no, I'll start from... I've got a 7 at the moment. Right. I've got a 7 in at the moment, and it's... the first thing that hit me about it was this great big stupid lump on the back, which makes it bulky and clumsy and heavy. And the 6A camera thingy on the back is just much, much nicer. It's such a nice, subtle kind of addition to the back. Anyway... so yeah, this is all speculation, of course, as you say. It's leaked, and it looks like it's a 6A, but with the styling of a 7.
All right, I think that's a good way to sum it up.
Yeah,
6A with the styling of the 7. Yeah, all right. Not too much to get excited about, but enough to get excited about, bizarrely. All right, Samsung is getting its brand ready for super fast charging. Which is what we need. We've seen Oppo and OnePlus using VOOC charging, or warp charging as it was, and Realme have their Dart charging as well. So Samsung, feeling a little bit out of the mix, are coming up with a pretty cool sounding Samsung super fast portable power.
SSPP.
Okay, right, yes.
If they're going to use that term...
Super statutory sick pay. Right, okay,
yes. If they're going to use that term, it'll have to be SSPP, won't it?
Yes.
But it is about time that Samsung got on board with this, because everyone else is. And the Turbo, which was the unmentioned one that Motorola do, is really, really good. And it makes such a difference. So, yeah, good for Samsung.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it works, and if they're just going to put it into absolutely everything, which wouldn't be too bad. Mm-hmm. Aye. So Samsung is also going to light up the Swiss Life Arena with the largest indoor LED cube installation in Europe. This is a pretty big screen. I wouldn't mind one of these in my living room. You'd be able to watch it. You could put the furniture whatever way you want. And it's one of those big, I think you see them in it's like American football games and ice hockey games and things, and it just hovers over the main stadium, and it shows you pictures of the game and adverts and things like that. So it's a nice big lush crisp image.
Blimey, look at the size of it. Apparently it's 12 metres by 12 metres, which makes it, 40 feet nearly.
Wow.
And that's just one of them. There's 4 of these, all facing the 4 corners of the stadium.
And they're curved as well in the other way.
Yeah. They're convex. And can you just imagine what these would cost if you... Supposing you were really rich, you were Elon Musk, and you wanted to buy one from Samsung, and you weren't just doing a deal with a stadium and getting all sorts of advertising payback. It would just cost a fortune, wouldn't it? Can you imagine the value?
Well, yeah. And having a look at one of them, you've got the main screen, and then there's screens above it. I think there's maybe one really long screen above it. And there's screens to the side, but then underneath you've got a sort of an ultra wide Aidan Bell style screen in there that's pointing downwards too. But it's got to have a mad viewing angle for all of the people who are sitting opposite it. Obviously the curve helps with that, but I suppose being a curve, the people over at the far left are not going to be able to see the far right of the screen.
But they'll see the far right of the next screen.
Yes, but then there's a division in between where it says Norquian or Norquian.
Well, the seats facing that bit will be cheaper.
Very true.
Maybe it turns round. That could be it. It could be rotating.
Oh, Oh, right, okay. Yeah. I wonder how many HDMI cables they have for it. Is it like a mess in behind it, just wires? I know what my TV's like if I look in behind it, but this has got to be a nightmare.
The Swiss Life Arena. It's obviously some place they do lots of these big events. The photographs seem to be from a ice hockey thing, as you said, don't they?
Yeah, I hope it doesn't fall. Break the ice.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So there's a new smartwatch upcoming, and it's from Huawei, and it has a pair of headphones in it. Earbuds.
They're copying Nokia.
Like. Yeah. Have you ever thought to yourself, gee, I wish I had some earbuds inside my watch?
Nokia started this trend with putting earbuds inside one of their feature phones recently, as you probably remember. And I think Huawei are trying to get in on the action. But to be fair, it does look quite neat the way they've done it. Can you imagine the power implications, though? You know, a smartwatch where half the space is taken up with storage for a couple of tiny earbuds. Firstly, the earbuds will have no power in them at all, and if you put them back in, then the watch will have limited power to actually charge them up again. So I think the whole charging and power thing will be a big issue.
It will do, but Huawei, they're always butting with ideas.
Indeed.
They are. It's more things to break as well. You know, the hinge can go. It's got to be a good hinge. It can open and close, and there's more batteries that can go. If you lose one of the earbuds, do you have to replace the entire system?
Exactly, yeah.
Don't like that idea.
Just to explain to people that can't see what we're looking at, the whole thing kind of hinges open, and inside there's these two cutouts where the two thingies go, and when you've got them in your ears, you shut the thing back down, I suppose, and perhaps you put batteries in those two cutouts. You put batteries in them when you've got the things in your ears.
Yes, little camera batteries.
Yeah.
Good call. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Maybe you should patent that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Cornering Gorilla Glass has Victus 2 coming this way, which has improved drop resistance, and there's a picture of them illustrating it as well, where they drop it from a robot because they need a robot to do it. You can't have a human being do it. No. That would be a health and safety nightmare. Mm-hmm. They've employed this £1,000 robot or £10,000 robot to be able to drop it effectively onto a piece of concrete, and apparently it survives.
I thought that Gorilla Glass was as good as this anyway. They're talking about 1 metre drops onto concrete. Well, I thought that they did that anyway. I think one of the things they are talking about, though, is that if you are on asphalt, because we all walk on asphalt, don't we? If you're walking on asphalt, it'll survive from 2 metres, so from head height. But I don't know. Anything that can help protect people's phones would be great, I suppose.
Yeah, they always do these tests, but they don't actually just do the test of your pocket, a set of keys, and your phone. Yeah. Because that's where people scratch their screens.
Yeah. Or falling onto a spiked fence.
Okay.
You know, like the person at the end of The Exorcist did.
We didn't have phones back in 1973. 71.
Drop the phone on its glass face onto a spike on an iron fence. That would be the real test.
Whilst being possessed by Pazuzu. Right. Okay.
Yes.
I suppose that is a better way of testing things, or just like crash test dummies. You could give them one of the phones, not give them one. And crash test dummies aren't real, like the cartoon. They get in, they put them in the car. They don't get in the car. People put them in the car and place a phone in their hand, provided they're on the driver's, or the passenger side, and in the driver's side you put it into a cradle. And then crash the car and see whether or not the glass survives. And if the glass does survive, then you build the whole car out of the glass.
How about an extended version of the Nokia XR20 test, which was driving a truck over it. But you drive a truck over it with ice spikes on the tyres.
Whilst being possessed by Pazuzu. I like it. Yeah, this works.
Yes. Yeah, we should be in charge of this.
We should, absolutely. But that would be just too much fun, coming up with stupid ideas to test phones. Of course, they're going to do it very carefully and well done. They're obviously, instead of damaging a scientist, they bring in a robot to be able to do everything.
Hang on a minute. Oh. We didn't do a weather report. Oh my word! People will be switched off by now.
Flippin' heck. So should we call the podcast "Warning: Weather Report is at the 45 or 46 minute point?
I think we've got to start again.
Oh, I suppose. Okay. Is there much to report in the weather?
No, carry on. We'll ignore it. We won't do a weather report.
Well, you never know. We might start a trend here that people are thank you for not doing a weather report. We didn't have to sit through that. Yeah. Although having to sit through 5 minutes of you two discussing whether or not you should do one is not very nice.
We've kind of spoiled it now.
Absolutely. A power bank with a hand crank. Is that what we need these days?
That's a really good idea, isn't it? The only thing so a power bank where if all the lights go out and you need some power, you can pull this cranking handle out the end of this power bank and crank it to, like you do with a wind-up radio. It's simple design. What I can't get to the bottom of, though, is how much of this cranking you've got to do in order to get a decent amount. Now, with the radios, the wind-up radios, I seem to remember that they claimed that if you cranked it for 2 minutes, then you got half an hour of listening or something like that. But you could be sat there all day with this thing, just crank. I suppose it's good exercise for your wrist who misses.
Yes, what are the neighbours going to think if they see you through the window? I had one of the wee torches that you could use a hand crank on, and it was shaped like a pig. And actually that was a thumb thing where you pushed the thumb, the switch in and out, and it cranked it up and gave it power. Right. I can't think of what I had with a hand crank on it. Yeah, there was the wee wireless radios, that's right. Yeah, I never had one.
I had... There was one I had, a torch, where you pulled... It was like one of these hand exercise thingies. You pull the two sides in towards you.
Yes.
And that kind of closing action did the dynamo, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's what I had in the torch.
Right.
But it did. You didn't have to do too much to get it to go all night.
Right.
It would sometimes still be going in the morning. I used it when Hannah was very young and she needed a night light. Uh-huh. We had this crank up torch, because of saving electricity and things. That's what we're all about. Yeah. The world is a little bit safer now and in a better place because we used a pig that you could wind up.
Exactly.
But this thing, it looks like a beautiful piece of equipment too. It really is a very attractive metal design. I can't imagine it's going to look like that whenever it actually comes to market. It'll probably be made of plastic. But I imagine Steve will make it look, or be able to computate exactly just how much power you could use and how many naughty movies you would have to watch to get yourself in optimum shape to be able to crank it up. Yeah. LastPass. Do you use LastPass? No.
I use Google Drive.
Google Drive?
Yeah, well, I don't use a password manager. I trust Google with my passwords, and it's encrypted at both ends, and blah blah blah. And I get told off by Steve for not having a proper thing to do it with, but it works fine for me. And you got to trust someone. Anyway, do carry on.
Okay. Well, I did use LastPass some years ago, but I closed it down whenever it became a bit too expensive, to be honest, and Bitwarden was free. But they have recently announced that they have had a bit of a security incident, and they have leaked all of Ted Salmon's passwords onto the internet.
Really?
It's a bit of a sad thing today. I didn't know about this until this morning, so you put it in the show notes. But this was back in August of 2022, so that was, 4 months ago? that an unauthorized party used information obtained in the incident to gain access to certain elements of customers' information.
But not the passwords.
It doesn't seem so, but...
No. They're saying quite clearly that it's not, that passwords have not been leaked. It's user data, like, phone numbers and names and addresses and that sort of thing, not actual passwords. But it's just becoming more and more common, isn't it? This is why it made it into the show, really, is that every week we seem to have some sort of data breach going on from someone, a firm that people are kind of trusting, and, what's going to be next?
Yeah, it's not happening with a huge amount of regularity, which is notable. It's almost like it's sort of one group that maybe is going, this week we'll do this and get some headlines, and then next week we can do this company would get some headlines, just to prove to a company that their security is crap.
Mm-hmm.
And LastPass is a company that does cost quite a bit of money to have the full personal side of things. And when you compare it to something like Bitwarden, which is entirely free for the likes of you and I to have most of the features that LastPass offer, it doesn't really justify any kind of price that they put on it. I would thoroughly recommend Bitwarden, and to you as well, because Steve is absolutely right, you mad crazy fool. You should have a password manager like this, because it's just that wee bit more secure.
Balls.
You won't be saying that when you get hacked.
Talking of balls...
And as someone who's been hacked.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, talking of balls...
Talking of balls... There's some new speakers, updated speakers, that caught my eye this week, which look really nice. And I remembered that you had at one point put these into Bargain Basement, but not the updated version, obviously the older version. Creative Pebble Pro 2 are the new speakers from Creative, and they look really neat. And they've updated them all. They've put RGB lighting in them for gamers, and they look like little balls, really, a bit bigger than a tennis ball, I suppose. And you can plug them into your 3.5mm for your proper computer. They're not just Bluetooth, and you can use them wired. They look really nice, and I'd like to have a pair. 69 quid, but unfortunately, they're not available. Well, when I checked yesterday, they weren't available on the Creative UK website, nor anywhere else. But in America, they're quite freely available at $69. Your turn.
Well, yeah, they do look like nice little speakers, and round the side they have a headphone port and a microphone port as well, so you can plug directly into them if you need to, which is something that a lot of speakers don't offer that, and I have been shopping around for speakers in the past that offer that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see if they're yet available in Amazon.
And they've got a nice wee light on the base as well that can light up and
mechanical keyboard.
Oh, flip. We'll have to turn the volumes down here so that people don't get deafened. Ted's typing.
Pro. Creative Pebble Pro. Oh, hang on a minute.
Are they for sale?
Well, no, they're the ones that we had on before. They're not the Pro version. You've got to be careful with these, because there's quite a few variations of them, and most of them are not the Pro ones. And
the Pro 2. You can get the Pros, but you can't get the Pro 2.
Yeah,
the
that's
Pro
right.
2.0.
Yeah, the Pro 2, they're the one with the new lighting on them. So yeah, in the UK, I don't think you can get them yet.
Hang on a second. No, the Pros have the lighting on them.
Yeah, that's right.
Not the Pro 2. No, the Pro 2s have the lighting as well.
Oh, the original Pro has the light. So the lighting is not new. Then I thought the RGB lighting was new for Pro 2.
Oh, but reading down this says Minimalist 2.0. Oh, USB Type-C computer speak. I don't know.
No, we don't know, as usual for this show. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on that, because we both fancy a pair of those. So watch this space.
Yeah. Okay, so the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5 will have a much larger cover display. Great. The cover display is the one that you can have a quick look at to see bits and pieces notifications and things like that. It's a small display that you can see all those sorts of things, and even uses a selfie camera mirror type thing as well, I believe.
You can, yeah. I've got the Flip 3 here. The Flip 4 had pretty much the same size screen. They're trying to keep up with what Motorola have done, you see, because the Motorola Flip 2020, the Razr 2022, had outdid them on the whole of the experience on the outside of the phone. And I mean, this is only rumour based, but it looks like it's very true, and it's not surprising because they're going to catch up with what Lenovo Roller are doing.
Well, the rumour is that they are increasing it from a 1.9-inch screen to between a 3.3-inch screen and a 3.4-inch screen.
Exactly.
So I believe it'll be a 3.35-inch screen.
Yeah, which puts it just exactly where the Motorola one is. So I think that's probably what they're up to. They've realised that everyone reviewing it. Let's hope that they don't take away the like Motorola did, take away the Qi charging though, because I'd rather have the Qi charging working properly than a bigger screen personally.
Well, there's no reason why the Qi charging can't be on the other side of it.
Yeah,
you know, the smaller.
Tell that to Motorola.
I can't. They're not on the show with us.
Oh yeah,
and they never will be.
Oh no, they're not Anthony Daniels, are they?
No, but perhaps he could relay it through Star Wars Episode 10. Okay, Google's December Android feature drop has a load of new exciting features for us Pixel users. What can we...
I don't understand.
Shut up.
You keep saying buzzwords. Pixel is a buzzword. You can't use that.
Is it?
Yeah. Right, more styles is the first one. So all of that Material You theming that we know and love now, that came with Android 13, well, with 12 actually, to some degree, it's all being vamped up and made better and lots more options on that. The reader mode is going to be the one in Android that is going to be completely cross device wide, which means I think that this has been to some degree available in accessibility up to now, but this will mean that pretty much anything on the screen it will just read out to you on demand with one button press, which is good. There's new emojis going on, and there's a new search widget for YouTube happening, which means that from the widget itself you can search inside YouTube. There's an kind of half interesting thing about sending streaming to TV from the Google TV app, one touch casting they're calling it. So you can do that instead of fiddle-arsing around, which is what I do most of the time, trying to make the bloomin' thing work, changing my pairs of glasses so that one glasses I can see the bloomin' phone and the other one to see the TV, but we won't go there.
Do you have bifocals?
I've tried those, they don't work. And I've tried varifocals. Let's not start that one again. That was a hot topic on Whatever Works. Our other podcast, everyone. Digital car keys can be shared with friends and family, which I think is an Apple copy, because up to now you've only been able to use it with your one device, but now you can actually let other people use your car key. And Wear OS, some changes to that, which are a bit boring. But yeah, there are some things coming, and that should be arriving on Monday, unless there's a bank holiday, sir. It should arrive on Monday with our Pixels.
Great. I'll look forward to it at the end of the year because it won't arrive on Monday. The reader mode sounds like the most exciting thing on this list, to be able to have it straight up, and that's just where you can open a web page. And do you have to share it or put it into reader mode?
No, you just. I think the theory is that it comes as part of the drop-down notification shade, and you can just press a button, and whatever's on your screen, it'll just read to you.
Ooh,
system-wide.
Okay. That'll be nice. I'll look forward to that. I'll have a wee play with that next week. Mm-hmm. Okay, one thing that perked my interest out of this whole show is the new Loop Deck Live.
The only thing.
Because I really want one of these, and this looks like a pretty funky little gizmo. The Loop Deck Live S. This is a small, affordable, we all like that word, streaming controller. That it's a bit like your thingy that you have. That's the one. And it allows you to have customizable buttons and a couple of knobs and dials that you can set to do particular functions when you're using your computer, be it media related or productivity related in some way. And what kind of price can we expect to pay for this?
169. I think the pricing is wrong, because wrong as in a bad pitch by Loopdeck, because it's too close to the Loopdeck Live itself. I think it needs to be more different in pricing, because with the Loopdeck Live you get 6 knobs and 8 buttons and more functionality and stuff. Just generally, this is supposed to be a small version of that, but the big one is only just over 200 quid, and to make this 169, it's just not. This needs to be about 130 or something. And it's a shame that it's going to be more expensive than that. Maybe they'll review that in time. But it does look really cute. And for the likes of us, probably you and I, that don't do media creation, well, you do to some degree, you don't need all those knobs and dials that the live one's got. The small one is going to be perfectly good. I like this too.
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking for a podcaster, this would be particularly excellent, because you've got the 2 knobs on it, and that's all you need, one for volume for your headphones and one for volume for your microphone.
Yeah.
So you can have that set up for that. I would be incredibly interested in this, and you're right, it would need to be the same price as the Stream Deck, although it does have the knobs, which does make a wee bit of a more enticing purchase.
Yeah. Although
does this have more tiles or less tiles than yours?
No, well, 15 is the standard for my 2 Stream Decks, but you can get a 32 version. But the 15 is the same as the Loopdeck Live, so they haven't changed that. But what they have taken away is, to the left and the right of the 15 buttons, you've got an OLED panel telling you what the buttons do, and you can interact with those. And it's just a watered down version, but it needs to be cheaper. That's all really. And if all you want is knobs and dials to control volume and what have you, then there are other ways of doing that with Windows. There are other devices that you can get to do that. So this is not critical. If it was cheaper, it would just be much more attractive, I think.
Yeah. But I want to get excited by this, and I want to get one.
You get one then. You got pots of money.
I'll just wait for it to actually come out, because it's not out yet here in the UK.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Probably will be in time for Black Friday next year.
Yes. In America, again, you can pre-order it, but you can't here.
Yeah. Because I have been very tempted by that. It was the Zents Lab Quick Keys, which is £75 thereabouts from time to time, as you correctly assessed. Mm-hmm. And I've been tempted by that, but I think I maybe prefer something a wee bit more permanent.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'll maybe wait until it comes out and then compare the two.
Okay, then.
But this has got 2 knobs, a bit like this show. Hey! Okay. Moving on to Clear. Now, I like Clear, Cleer. I have, I'll be entirely honest, they have sent me headphones in the past, and I have liked them very, very much. They make good audio products, and that's not just it's an endorsement to a company that has sent me stuff for free in the past. They haven't sent me one of these, but I would like to just do a little bit of a thing on it, because it looks pretty darn cool. It looks like something that you would want, Mr. Ted Salmon. This is the Clear Scene, SCENE. This is a little Bluetooth portable speaker that has crystal clear hi-fi audio on the move. It has dual 48mm neodymium dynamic drivers, or something to that effect, with 2 passive radiators to keep you warm during the winter. And it's got 12 hours of playback. It's IPX7 waterproof rated, so rain can land on it and you don't have to worry about it. And it'll be available on Amazon soon for £99. I think it looks like a pretty cool little doohickey that you can take with you. It's kind of an odd shape as well. It's almost round, but it's more like a wedge shape, so it's not going to roll away on you. And I reckon this just looks like a quality piece. The grey one in particular has some nice sort of mirroring or sort of steel type colouring on the side. Looks like something you'd want to have. What do you think, Ted?
This week's episode brought to you by Clear.
But not brought to you by Clear.
Yes. And it punches for an energetic and rhythmic listening experience. Rhythmic listening experience. It does look nice. It's certainly a very interesting shape. The end of it looks like those LG pill-shaped thingies that we looked at a while ago. I quite like the fact that the buttons on the top appear to be physical. They stick out a bit, and they're not just kind of capacitive touch buttons. I like that. That's what I like about the Marshall devices. You've actually got knobs and dials and physical buttons, and that looks nice. And it is a nice design, nice shape. Not quite sure what that little light on the front does. Perhaps it dances with the music, does it?
I think it comes on and then goes off again.
Yes, thank you. But it looks nice, yeah, for 99 quid. Depends on what it tastes like. It depends what it sounds like, doesn't it? So it's quite hard to tell. Buy one from Amazon and send it back if you're not happy.
Yeah, well, I'll keep an eye on it whenever it comes available. I maybe will pick myself up one, because I have a need for a Bluetooth speaker. I'm getting a bit tired of some of my old ones, and they're all micro USB. I don't have USB Type-C ones here now. But
I quite like the red one. The red, I prefer the red one. I think it's very jazzy and snazzy.
Jazzy and snazzy. Wow. Can't have one without the other. No, I think the more professional looking silvery one looks very dapper and serious and sensible. That could sit quite nicely on the desk in front of me, and I could take it with me whenever I go out in the car and Bluetooth paired to my tablet and just generally have a nice time with it. And for 99 quid, I'm quite happy to pay that. You said when it's available, but it's showing as available now here. But it is a third party. It's not Amazon themselves. Yeah. Right. I wanted to buy it through Amazon, but I think it's available on the Clear website.
Okay.
I'm trying to open it now to see if I can see it.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yes. I don't see it there.
Oh, she's back. Stand by.
Oh, no, there it is. Got it.
And is it orderable in the UK? And particularly Northern Ireland?
I don't think so, no. And it's only available in red at the moment, if it is.
Whoa!
So, yeah. And also on your website, you can be the first to review it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's one to look into. I'll come back to it whenever it is available to get, and I'll maybe pick myself up one as a Christmas present.
Ah, that's nice.
Okay, in the name of the game. All right, okay. Samsung is going to be losing nearly 50... Samsung? What? Amazon Luna is going to be losing nearly 50 games from the end of the year.
Before we ever see it in the UK.
I know, this is unbelievable. Looking at the list of games as well, there's Dirt 5 is leaving on January 1st. Castlevania Anniversary Collection's leaving on December the 23rd. R-Type Dimensions is leaving on December the 2nd. So it is kind of all over the show. And I don't see any reasons that you would take out a subscription to this, because there's nothing replacing them.
I wonder how many they've got in total. Because, as I say, we haven't even seen this in the UK yet, so this is all America. But they're leaving already. Well, unless this is just their rotation, so that we just don't know about what's arriving. This has only hit the headlines because someone wants to make a story of how crap it is.
Well, I fully agree that it should. If you're buying into some sort of subscription service, the last thing you want to be doing is getting tied in whilst you're paying every month to be able to access these games, to have a limited deadline to which you can play the game up until. Yeah. Dirt 5 is a very hard game. I know, I've played it. I had it on Stadia. I had it refunded to me. But I never finished it. I did play it quite a bit, but I never finished it. I could have wanted to finish it, But if I went over to Luna, then I would only have a certain amount of time left to finish it whilst I'm paying my subscription. What's the point? If you're paying a subscription, you want to be able to play that game for as long as you have the subscription if you make an investment in time to the game. If they're just going to get rid of the game after 6 months, and you only have 6 months to be able to access it, then that shows complete lack of respect for the player.
Maybe the whole thing's just going tits up like Stadia did. Amazon have been engaged in massive layoffs recently, this report goes on to say, in recent weeks, including its Luna division. They've only added 4 new games in November, and they haven't announced what there was in December, so or what's coming in December. So maybe they're just going to the wall with it, and Amazon, like other big corporations, are cutting their cloth and cutting things down.
Yeah, well, that is a possibility, although they did post profits of, $26 billion, and they're still managing to axe 20,000 positions, which is nonsense. And I can't imagine Amazon doing the right thing like that Stadia did with Luna and refunding people who have bought into this system. They tried to, was it the original Fire TV, whenever it came out? They sold you a Bluetooth controller that you could use with it. And there was going to be Amazon Gaming on there if you buy the controller for £45. And they released like 3 games or whatever through their own studios and relied very heavily on just being able to play other Android games, some of which were actually unplayable with the controller. Yeah. So they didn't give 2 hoots about who ended up wasting their money, i.e. me, on that controller. It was crap. You couldn't even use it for anything else afterwards. So, a bit like Stadia, where they're still deliberating whether or not to actually open it up to be able to let you use that with Bluetooth controllers on other devices. It could just be relegated to the bin.
And there was you recently saying how huge gaming is and how big it's going to be, and it's the thing that's happening.
Well, it is, and Steam gaming shows no sign of slowing down, but at least with Steam gaming, a bit like owning your own content, whenever you buy a game, it doesn't disappear 6 months later, and you're not having to pay Steam every month to be able to access the games that you have.
Because you download them and you keep them physically.
No, they're all connected to my account.
Oh, exactly.
And
so
I can download a couple of them at a time. But they're there, available, and I've never known Steam to get rid of a game. Sometimes they do ban them.
But the company might go tits up, mightn't it?
Yeah, but the game generally stays on Steam.
Okay. No, what I mean is Steam might go tits up.
Oh, no, there's no way.
No.
Not for... That's like saying the BBC's going to
go tits up. I would never hear of it.
With the amount of billions that they take in every single day, trillions, no less, that Steam's in the best shape it's ever been in.
Okay.
And they're good to their customers.
I believe you.
Yeah, you should. All right, okay. Now, you can handle this one. I don't want to talk about this.
No, let's not even discuss it. And the listeners will never know what it was we're referring to. Microsoft is selling hoodie jackets for Xbox controllers for kids for Christmas, and I don't know how much they're charging people, but it's just really ridiculous. You got this kind of hoodie thingy, a bit like when you're riding your motorbike when it's cold. You've got these things to put around the handlebars. You can play your Xbox games inside this hoodie, which is your controller's coat. Right, moving on.
Stupid nonsense. Right, Netflix is getting 9 games this November. Should we be excited about any of them?
I went and had a look this morning, at some of these games, and what came across to me was, I mean, you'll know more about these titles than I do, but what came across to me is that they're just all kids' games. There's a couple that are not kids' games, which I didn't recognise anyway, but they're all crappy nothing games. They're all a bit rubbish. I never go and do gaming, except when I'm preparing to talk about it on this show, on Netflix, and... So, it just seems to me that it's just all a bit for kids. Do you think that's right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't exactly say that they're sort of exclusive games or anything, or special games that they've invested in. One of them is Reigns 3 Kingdoms, which has been out for, or at least various versions of that have been out for some other platforms over the years. I don't know.
Right.
It's not a game that I'm interested in, but I certainly recognise it and I know it's been about. The other ones sound completely unappealing.
Cats and Soup, Hello Kitty Happiness Parade. And that's just what came across when I was looking at them. They were just all not only kids' games, but young kids' games.
Ooh, actually, Skies of Chaos looks like it might be fun, but in a 1942 kind of way, where it's a vertical shooter. There's no shortage of those. So to pull people into playing that game might be quite a challenge. So, I don't know.
Yeah. And the other thing that I would like to say is that when you go to Netflix on your phone, it's not actually very clear where the games are. There's not a games section. There's no tab or nothing or anything. You've just got to go and search on the word games. And when you search on the word games, they do come up across the top. But there's no easy, obvious way into a games section that I could find.
I'm opening it now. I thought there was. I could have sworn I saw that. At the bottom, was there not a...
That's where I looked, and I thought it must be under that more thingy, or whatever it's called, on the right-hand side, but it's not.
There's Netflix there. Took me a while to find it, because I didn't know how to spell it. Right, Netflix. Games. Yeah.
Where have you got that?
There's home, games, new and hot, quick laughs, and downloads.
Let me have a look.
This is the one that you ridiculed me for many a month, that I wasn't able to access the games section.
Yeah, that's right. Netflix. Right, I'm signed into Netflix then. I've got home, new and hot, quick laughs, download, and more. Nothing about games across the bottom. And if you tap on more, there's notifications, app settings, my list, account, blah, blah, blah. Nothing about games. You've obviously got a completely different version of mobile gaming Netflix
Which
than I have.
Which phone are you using?
A Motorola Edge 30
That's
Neo.
probably the reason.
Okay, then I've got a Pixel 7 here. I'll open that one up, and I shall look up the same on that one. Pixel 7, Netflix, sign in as. Oh, come on, Netflix.
People, would you prefer to hear?
Oh, yeah. It has, you're right. So why is that different then? It's got, the second one in is games, and the second one in on the Motorola is new and hot. So the new and hot's in the middle on the Pixel. What's missing? Oh, downloads. No, more. So on the Pixel, the more is missing. And, yeah, they've completely redesigned it for Pixel, haven't they? Well, fan my britches.
Do you wear britches?
No, but I'll fan them anyway. So, yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? I had no idea they had different apps for different devices. Very odd.
Tis indeed. But what are you going to do? You're going to have to go and complain to Motorola that you need an update, and fast.
Well, if anything, the Pixel, which is on trial here, being reviewed, will be the one that might have the app outdated. The Motorola is up to date on everything, I think. Anyway, yeah, who knows who's responsible? Not me.
True. Okay, but over to flap your chop about an app. Sony I don't know what this is. What is it? Mokopi? Mokopi. You got to say it in a Japanese accent. Mokopi. Okay. This is a motion capture kit.
Yeah, they reckon that YouTubers, instead of putting their faces and their bodies onto YouTube videos, they want to put avatars. And so this kit, this Mokopi kit, gives people, for 300 and something quid, I think it is, a bunch of 6 thingies to put round your body. And when you record your video, it will make all the movements and stuff go across to an avatar, so that the avatar moves and it becomes you with accurate movements, particularly for live streaming, I guess, on VTubing. as they're calling it. So yeah, it's Sony kind of appealing to that same bunch of people, I think, that they normally do, which is Japanese teens who like to kind of muck about with avatars and not real pictures of themselves.
Right, okay. So you you put 2 on your ankles, 2 on your wrists, and 1 on your forehead.
Yeah, whatever. You can put them where you like to. Put them, no, we won't go there.
You're not going to put them... Yeah, okay.
300 I think it was 380 quid it was going to cost for the kit. Amazing. And that'll be Japan's Christmas present for the rich kids.
It's an interesting idea. It really is. The people who sort of maybe lack the confidence to sit in front of the camera or don't really have that belief that they are pretty enough to look at, maybe have some sort of complex, it might help them edge toward doing something.
I wouldn't sit and watch it, though.
No, but what happens if it's a different character? If it's, could you use this for deepfake?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Use it for not an avatar, but an actual person.
We could use this and become Anthony Daniels from Star Wars and then impersonate it and go on the phone show chat, and they would be none the wiser.
Us being Anthony Daniels while he is being a robot.
Yes.
Move the avatars down the line.
There we go. That's all worked out. That's exactly what they're for. They've thought ahead of you.
Yeah. Oh, have you signed up for Post yet?
I am on the wait list.
You're on the wait list. I was on the wait list for Post. It's a new social media thing. Another one that's come out the back of Twitter reaction and all the rest of it. It's in beta, early access. I was on the waiting list and they let me in. Wow. And I can now see it and use it. But actually it's really dull and boring. It looks very much like... Twitter or Mastodon or whatever, and you can put your feed up there and you can post things. I've followed a couple of people and I've posted a couple of posts, but it's really not very exciting. But to be fair, it is in beta, and you can scroll through it in a kind of TikTok type way and look at what people are posting, and most of it's American tripe, to be honest, at the moment. But that will depend on how many people get on board with it. And I mean, it is quite pretty. It's quite nice. I don't think there's a mobile app yet. It's all on. Oh yes, there is. Sorry, there's an iOS app, but not an Android app. So it's on web for me at the moment. But yeah, it's all right. Looks okay. Might take off. I only really did it to claim my name in case someone nicked it.
Well, I'm looking at it to see what they're sort of enticing people in with, and outside of viewing your profile and that one post you have, I can't do anything. I can't see who you're following. I can't look at someone else's to make me think, oh, I want to sign up for this.
Have a look at this link and see if you can see anything on that one, because that might give you, because I've linked actually to my profile, and that one is the link to the home page with the scrolling
it's
stuff.
Asking me to
but you may not
and join the wait list.
Yeah. So you can't, because you haven't got it. Well, on that link there, the main scrolling list, you see what everyone else is posting, and it's very kind of TikTok-ish. And there's tons of stuff in there. You just scroll through it, and it's just tripe mostly. Very Facebook,
It is, yeah. But I suppose with social networks going the way they're going, I think there's got to be some sort of movement over the next couple of years to get people to move away from the likes of Twitter and Facebook to something else.
Yeah, I suppose so. Mastodon are trying really hard, aren't they?
They are, yeah. And there's another one, Hive, as well, that I see an awful lot of people talking about on Twitter. But I don't really fancy either of those two, because they just don't seem to be as simple to work out.
Yeah, Mastodon is really complicated for casual use. It's very nerdy, geeky. So Post might be an alternative. Don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. There's all to play for.
There's always Mewe. Don't forget Mewe.
But you have to put up with that big trial speech every time you go in.
Not if you give them a few pennies, you don't.
No, I'm not going to give money to a social network. What? Are you mad? It's very safe and nice. You've got too much money. Right, Chrome Unboxed. What's happening in the world of Chrome?
Google Alerts, I'd completely forgotten about those. I thought it was in the Google kind of graveyard, but no, it's still going. And Robbie, I think it was, from Chrome Unboxed, linked to it and is still using it, or someone in the outfit is. Google Alerts. And I, for some reason, used to use those all the time, and I just put one up this morning to test it, and sure enough, I got an email about a topic that I put in. So it's still working, and yeah, perhaps one should use it. I think that the thing is, though, there's enough other ways to get your news feed these days that you don't really need it. Have you ever used this?
No, I don't know what it is.
Okay, it's called Google Alerts, and you go in there, you put a keyword in there, so put in there Pixel 7 Pro or whatever it is, and you then tell it how often you want to be bugged by it giving you emails, and then it will collate information for you, news posts, whatever interesting topic, as often or as infrequently as you tell it to. And you can do a daily digest if you want to as well, but it homes in on anything it can. It's a bit like Google News really, but it's tailored specifically for you, and specifically for you, and it delivers it by email to your inbox, so you can then read it from there. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention it because I thought it was dead, and it's not dead; it's still going, but I think it's probably outdated.
How do you get the alerts?
Well, if you go to the alerts page, which is Google Alerts on the web, you'll see a search field at the top there. Create an alert about, and then you just type something in there.
Oh no, I see it. It comes through to you can set it up to deliver the alerts to as an RSS feed that you can put into your RSS aggregator, or you can have them delivering to your email address. Really?
Yeah, or and you can choose how you want it delivered. But my point really is that it just feels a bit outdated, and I'm not surprised I stopped using it because I get all that stuff from elsewhere anyway. But it's not Robbie, it's Michael Perigo.
Oh, well, Mikey boy.
I do apologise. Yes. Anyway, moving on. Gmail's search function is getting better. It's not getting better for me because I tested this morning, and it's supposed to be learning from your previous searches. So when you search for something, which I did yesterday, something quite specific, it's supposed to learn from that and then narrow down your future searches based on those key searches and make it quicker for you. Well, I personally think that Google searches are quick enough as it is without making it even quicker. Pixel Recorder, the app for version 4.2, is rolling out speaker labels. So when you record something with another person, for example, across the table, or you're doing a podcast or whatever you want to do, then not only does it transcribe the speech that it hears being said, but it detects the different people's voices in the room, and it puts a label when so-and-so's speaking, then it tells you who it is that's speaking, and you can assign names to that and all the rest of it. So that's quite useful. And the upcoming Chrome OS video conferencing tools can gain background, blur and replace. However, the interesting thing here is that these are global controls rather than individual ones. So if you're using Meet or Skype or whatever video conferencing tool you're using, at the moment you can get that blurring and background stuff based on
camera app.
The tool. No. The tool it's based on the tool you're using. So you would have to rely on Skype or Meet or whatever it is to do that for you. Whereas this upcoming change with Chrome OS is that this will do it for you for all video conferencing tools that you might be using cross-system. So you don't need to go into individual ones and change it for yourself. So
it's more of an update to the camera app whatever utility it is uses the camera app.
Yeah, which is also not working, because the other thing that I mentioned probably 2 or 3 weeks ago now, which I'm still waiting to see, is that the camera is supposed to follow you in the frame. So if you move left or right, it's supposed to keep your face in the middle, and that's supposed to be a system-wide Chrome OS Chromebook thing. And I've got version 109 on my Chromebook, and that's still not working. I put all the proper flags in, so it's stuff they're working on, obviously.
Yeah, and we'll see one day, and you can report back to us. But that's a good amount of Chromie stuff this week.
Yeah, so it makes a change, doesn't it?
It's almost like they're finishing up for Christmas. All right. Hark back this week. We have, Pong.
Yeah, this is over to you probably. Maybe you're too young. I remember in the 1970s when Pong arrived. The reason this has hit the news this week is that it's 50 years old. So what year was it 50 years ago? 1972, is that right? Yeah. So we're in the 70s. We were just amazed by this thing. So you got this this device that you plugged into the aerial socket in your TV. You then retuned the telly to find the frequency it was on, and then it came into view. And then you got these two controllers, and one person sat with one of them on one side, and one sat on the other, and you basically played table tennis, 2D table tennis, which is, looking back at it now, is just incredibly boring and dull. And I can't believe that we sat there for hours on end just ponging this table tennis, this square table tennis ball around. Anyway, yes, they had developing options as it went on. They got faster, and they introduced colour at some point down the line. And this was something to do. This is a bit that you'll know about. It's something to do with Atari, and I didn't know that. Was it Atari that made all the original hardware or something?
It was, and I am lucky enough to have known someone growing up who had one of these. They had a later one. And I'm trying to find out the exact name of it, but it was an orange version of the home Pong console, which had extra functions. I've got it up here. I can see what it looks like, but I can't see what it was actually called. It's a stock photo of it because I'm desperately going through. Oh, there it is. There, got it. Right, Binatone. Yeah, it was Binatone that put it out, or Binatone, if you like. And they picked it up in a second-hand shop because they figured it was something that was probably going to be worth some money someday. And it was a little orange console that had a bunch of buttons on the front of it and two controllers, and the two of you could sit and just play Pong. That was the only thing that really it had on it. It was Mark 10 of the home Pong console, apparently, according to this feed. But yes, it originally started off where there was it was just one unit, and either side of it had round controllers, because you would roll the controller left and right, and that would have the table tennis bat go up and down the table. I always thought it was table tennis as opposed to actual tennis. That's it.
Yeah, so did I.
And there was a speaker in the middle between these two controllers that would emit a bop and a bop sound, and then it would do something else whenever you didn't win. But
and then at some point you were able to move the bats, the paddles, inwards as well. So it wasn't just on the line on the outside. You could actually move it left and right as well.
You could, but that was so hard.
I think that was later. Yeah. I think you had a rollerball on some devices, but I don't remember that original piece of hardware, that console. All I remember is getting the little box with the controllers and plugging it into the aerial socket on our little black and white TV. So that was the next stage along, I guess. And apparently Sears, a company called Sears, was selling that.
It's an American company,
and they sold 100. Is it right? They sold 150,000 of them. But Atari 2600 was kind of on the back of the experience with this. I don't know, this is your department.
It is, really. Yeah. The Woody console came along soon after that and kind of popularised the idea of being able to use cartridges. But I think the Binatone console that came before, it had a variant later on that allowed you to put cartridges in it that could do other sportsy type games. Having a look through some of the images to try and find the Binatone that my friend bought, there is one that has, it's about 10 games built into it that just football and things like that, but they're all very, very basic in this kind of ASCII style, not ASCII, but blocky style graphics that they had at the time. So this suddenly became the must-have gadget, and they were selling out all over the show. It was like the PlayStation 5, where everybody wanted one of these for Christmas. Kids wanted to be able to play this game, and really only this game, on their TV. And there were knockoffs of it that were being shipped out, and it started that whole want and lust for TV gadgetry.
Yeah. Makes me feel old. 50 years ago today, and it was in the early 70s. Well, not 72, but I remember playing this in 74 certainly.
Yes.
And it was our little black and white TV, and I just can't believe how much time we spent on it. We were just transfixed. It was nowadays you wouldn't give it 5 minutes. You'd have a look at it and play it and think, oh, is that all it does? And move on to something more interesting.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There was another one as well that Atari... Well, no, it wasn't actually Atari. It was Magnavox. Magnavox put out the Odyssey, which had a Pong version on it as well. And it had this really strange controller. It was like a very small toaster with roly bits either side of it, and you could use that to control the game. But it had slightly more advanced graphics over the original Pong, and that took things a wee bit further again. But it was such a limited age. I remember watching a documentary about the very first video game system, and it was actually it was an oscilloscope. That you use to measure beeps and pings and things like that, and electrical frequencies and stuff. And they had a way of being able to play a game on the readout of an oscilloscope, which is kind of funny. And that kind of made its way toward Pong becoming a thing.
Right.
It's bizarre how it all came about, and it's fascinating to look back at the old gaming consoles, even the ones that you just don't recognise, where people were trying to get their footing on something that hadn't quite been realised, and bringing games to the home console, or bringing games to the living room. It's a wonderful thing, and Pong was really the first time that people managed to actually play a game on their TV. It's fun.
I'm trying to think what else we had for the TV, and I can't think of anything. Pong was the only thing that I can remember plugging in and playing on the telly. After that, I was right through to my first IBM XT PC, or whatever it was called, and 5.25-inch floppies with the likes of Raptor on it, and those which we've talked about before. But I can't remember doing anything else with the plug-in aerial. But maybe I just remember badly. Perhaps there were things.
Are you talking about Raptor, the top-down shoot-'em-up game?
No, I think it's called Rapton, actually.
Oh, right.
It's a a creature going through this brick maze.
Oh, right. Essentially bouldered. Or Raptor, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I've spent hours and hours playing that. But that was on the PC, not on the telly. And I can't remember anything else on the telly at all. There's a wild claim on this Engadget article that we're linking to, saying that this was designed by Alan Acorn as a training exercise. And he was only 24 years old. And if it wasn't for Pong, Nintendo would not exist, and Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak may not have gone on to create Apple.
I don't know what they mean, Nintendo would not exist, because it already existed then.
Exactly. In 1972, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been around for, it's like 100 years or something. They just did different stuff. They got into gaming. Nintendo was founded in 1889, which sounds like a TV show starring Harrison Ford and Ellen Mirren.
1889?
It was founded as Nintendo Karuta by craftsmen. What did they do back then?
What did they do? Yeah, the Nokia story is interesting because they started off making ropes for ships or something, long time before phones were coming along. What did Nintendo do? Have you found out?
They had a workshop and eventually rebuilt, demolished in 2000. Okay, a type of Japanese playing card. They did playing cards.
Oh right, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
flower cards. Essentially. Yeah.
Oh,
and
right.
it became a form of gambling. Oh. Mario came about from gambling. I see.
Disgrace.
Absolutely.
You should all abandon
it.
Anyway, I really have great memories of that, and just mind-boggling memories that it was so mesmerising and just, great days.
Yeah. And it was something that you didn't have to worry about whether or not you had a black or white TV or not. It would look the same on both. So it was equal levels, yeah.
We only had black and white TVs then.
Oh, I suppose, yeah.
We got our first colour telly. Well, the colour tellies were out, of course, but we didn't get our first one till about the late 80s, I think. Sorry, the late 70s. So, 1974, we were all black and white.
Right, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, nice one. I do like Pong. I haven't played it in a long time. It is somewhat limited now. You couldn't play it for long stretches. It's not quite as exciting as Grand Theft Auto 5, but, it's there. You can see how they link together.
Why isn't it on Evercade? That's what I want to know.
Probably is. Yeah, there's it's on one of the Atari collections, is it not? You'd have to go through those and have a look.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Bargain Basement, where things are cheap. Bargain Basement this week. I was listening to the Whatever Works podcast recently, and Aidan was going on about how he was having trouble finding himself a wee AMD bargain. Although he has now solved that issue, AMD Ryzens are on sale across Amazon. There are lots of them. And I'm very tempted to actually upgrade my Ryzen 9 3900 to a Ryzen 9 5900 because I think my motherboard would support that. But yes, the Ryzen 7700X desktop producer, however you want to pronounce that, is down in price from £439.99p to £338.99p, which is a cracker of a deal if you ask me. And all of them seem to be down in price as well. The 7950. Oh no, it's gone back up. Ooh. Or maybe that's because it's just come out. But I noticed the 5900 series, which is the one I was thinking about upgrading to, is also down in price from £509.99p to £339.15p, which is kind of nice. The 5950X is down from £750 to £490. Oh, that is so tempting. But it's not really worth the big upgrade. Yeah, it's a lot of money for a small boost, and But yeah, Aidan, if you're looking for one, all of a sudden I can't remember whether or not he got his problem sorted, but there's.
You could get one and sell me your old one. Then I can get Windows 11, can't I?
You could do, but then you'd need to get a whole new motherboard with a socket system, or with the 775, or I can't remember what the socket system is, plus new RAM and things like that. So you'd be out of fortune.
You can also get, with this deal, 33% off Xbox Game Passes for 3 months.
Great.
Yes. Right, my first one is a simple one, but a very nice looking one, and it's an extension lead. And it's got 6 3-pin plugs on it, 4 USB-A's, which are 5-amp ones, and a really nice looking braided long cord, 1.8 meters cord. And it sits up on the floor with the sockets facing downwards, so they all don't get in each other's way to a large degree. And it looks really nice, and it's reduced from 30 quid to 17, and I think it was... And it's got one USB-C on it as well, which is handy. That's it really. I can't string this out any longer. It's a bit of a boring topic.
No, I actually really like this. You could stick this under a desk.
Yes.
And have stuff plugged up into it.
Yeah.
Oh, I do fancy this actually. It could be at the back of your desk with the plugs facing the wall, and then the USBs could go down the back of your desk and up into the USB. Oh, this is nice. I'm redesigning my desk as we speak.
Would you trust a company called AdTam though? Ad Tam of China.
Possibly. Yeah, well, let's have a look at the reviews. Love it. It has different ports. Yeah. Ideal for a busy house. Can't do... All of these are in lower case. It's almost like they wrote them themselves.
Yeah.
Someone's taken a picture of one that's fully in use. And it doesn't look very good because they've had to plug an adapter in that goes the other way. So it's actually sitting up off the desk.
Let me have a look and see what you're talking about. Oh, yeah. So it's not going to... I mean, you can't... Unless you're going to have swivelling 3-pin sockets, you're not going to be able to... Every plug... There's always going to be a problem with that.
Yeah, there's always some bloody plug that's done the wrong way around.
Yeah. But some of them have got swivelling sockets.
Some of them do, but not this one. But that said, I still like it with the you could plug your monitor directly into this without having to go right down to the floor. It could cut down on clutter. I like it.
Yeah, and your back pain.
Yes. Well done, Ted. Excellent. Next up is the TP-Link. You could plug this into Ted's thingy. Imaging extension lead. This is the TP-Link Tapo Smart Plug Wi-Fi outlet. It's been a while.
No, you can't. You can't because it goes the wrong way.
It goes the right way.
No, it doesn't. It's facing downwards, so the top bit will be on the floor.
But if you... Oh, yeah.
So that's the first example of why the last item's crap. Yes.
Well, you could put a piece of wood on top of it. Set it up on something. Right, okay. Well, these are smart plugs because it's been a while. There's a decent deal on some TP-Link ones that are sold out. Bugger me. They were there early on.
Oh, no, you can buy them from a third party. See all buying options, and you can get them from Rare Waves or CCL Computers or Vendura Plus.
Rare Waves? They do DVDs.
Huh. Oh, do they? Anyway, yeah, you can still buy them, just not directly from
Are they
Amazon.
still the same price, which was £17 as opposed to 30? No.
No, 27, 29, 27, 28, 20...
Oh, no. These were reduced down to £16. Never mind. Scrub that from your minds.
Okay, moving on. You can talk about this one. The Razer Leviathan V2, which is a PC gaming soundbar with subwoofer, THX spatial audio, Bluetooth 5.2, and you can make your PC sound like a hi-fi kind of unit. Anyway, reduced from 250 to 180 quid, and you get all the Razer dancing RGB lights and all of the rest of it, and a great big kind of sound coming out of this thing. And what do you know about this?
Exactly what you've said. It looks very nice.
Oh, right. Very nice. I thought you would expand on my limited knowledge.
No, I don't think there's anything to expand on other than reading out some of the specifications, which I'm not going to do. People know what a Razer Leviathan V2 is, otherwise they wouldn't be here.
Yes, good.
But I'm not seeing... Actually, on any of these, I'm not seeing any... Well, I suppose they've all been fairly low value ones, aside from those AMDs maybe, but I'm not seeing any 5-month deals on these.
It's gone away for you, has it?
I don't know. Maybe
perhaps it will come back for me then.
Coming up at Christmas. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I'll have to investigate that and see whether or not it's true or not. Right. I was thinking that what folks could do, because there's an economic downturn and all that, is that they could downgrade their kids' phones just to piss them off. And over on eBay, there is an HTC HD2 phone, which is a Windows mobile device for £6.50. Wouldn't you like to have your kids using that?
I wonder if you could use it. So it's running Windows Phone, not Windows Mobile. Yeah, Windows what? I wonder if it'll still work. Would it still work?
No, it wouldn't. I think this is...
Could you not do anything with it?
I imagine so.
Could you not even make... You can make phone calls with it.
Well, you probably could do that, and you could take a picture with the camera, but you couldn't sort of send it anywhere because you wouldn't be able to access the App Store or whatever to be able to download Windows Marketplace.
Yeah,
and it's got HTC Sense built over the top of it, so it's going to be crap out of the box because it'll be really slow. And it'll probably be looking to update from HTC's website.
Who are they going to hope to sell that to?
I don't know, but I'd love to just buy one and stick it. If my son was a little older and he was waiting on an iPhone 14 Pro, getting him this instead and just seeing his face on Christmas morning would be worth £6.50.
Oh, yeah.
You can save money by bulk buying as well. You can get 3 of them for £6.37 each.
That's really funny, isn't it? I'll tell you one thing I do like that I would love to still have these days is hardware buttons. You know, a call and an end button, a hardware button, a proper button, a home key,
Windows button.
Well, a Windows button. Yeah, they can keep that one, and a back key. It's on the wrong side, but okay, we'll forgive them of that. But yeah, physical buttons for things, which, as we all know, are going away every minute. That's a really nice bit of nostalgia.
There's a 3.5mm headphone jack on there, and there's no fingerprint sensor.
You could play music, yeah.
No, you couldn't.
Because, HTC would have its own music player, wouldn't it?
Well, I suppose, you'd have to sideload it yourself.
No, it'll come with it, wouldn't it? I think HTC had their own suite of applications, didn't it?
Yeah, but there's not going to be any music
in the
on
ROM
the phone other than maybe ringtunes.
But you could put it on. Surely you could plug in a US. How would you exchange data with it? There must be a
SD card,
not a micro. No, hang on a minute. Oh, an SD card. Yeah. You could put it in the slot. You probably take the back off and put a new battery in as well.
Yeah, it doesn't say it comes with a battery, does it? Well, it would probably be even more useless if it did come with a battery. You could do that. That would work. Also, you could. I had something else you could do with it there, but I've forgotten what it is now. It was so exciting.
Something to do with plugs.
Oh no, you could play. What was that game that HTC put on where there was the ball rolling about and it would use the gyroscope inside?
Oh, right.
I remember it was quite good. It had a good sound effect of the metal ball rolling across the wood.
Okay.
I'll have to charge up my Touch Pro 2 and remind myself of what it was called. I think it began with a T. Tinder. No, not Tinder. No, that's something else.
Yes.
Brian. No, that's the thing you're on. I can't remember. Anyway, what's next?
Right, the last thing is £100 off of the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 FE, which is the 12.4-inch tablet, which has still got... Oh, no, it hasn't. I was going to say that it's got the Samsung promise of updates, but that I do believe that the promise of updates started with the S8 and not the S7. So you don't get that, but you should. They still quite look after you quite well into the future. So this is the 12.4-inch version. This is the 64 gig Wi-Fi only one, but it's 419 instead of 519. These do very often go £100 off, but they're nice tablets. I know that you've kind of gone off of Samsung tablets yourself, Gareth, but I think that they've still got an awful lot going.
Oh no, they do, absolutely, and the odd time I do think back and I miss my old tablet, but I still can't help myself that the Lenovo does everything that I used that Samsung tablet for, and it cost a third of what I paid for the Samsung tablet. So I was quite happy with that. But I'm going through some of these, and I'm not seeing the deal, which is a bit annoying. And usually you get them on Samsung products, but not that one.
I'll tell you, I bet you next week they come back for me. I just don't understand how the algorithms work for that. It's really odd. Very, very strange. Yeah. Oh, look, the 128 gig version is £100 off as well. I should have checked that. So that's 459 if you want a bit more storage.
Well, I'm double checking here because over Black Friday I noticed that I wasn't seeing the deal on a lot of things, and I had to move it to my basket, and then it was showing up.
Right.
If I go to my basket, no, it's not there. No.
You've fallen out of
I don't
favour.
know. It must just be coming up to Christmas. Too many people taking stuff out on HP, or well, essentially that's what it is, isn't it? No, it's not interest. It's interest free, isn't it?
Yeah. The Barclays thing is not interest free. They're charging you 12.2% APR.
No, but the Amazon one.
So the Amazon, yeah. So the Amazon one is different. Although it says pay at 6 months. The Barclays deal says you can pay over 6 months at no additional cost. So if you pay it over 6 months with Barclays, they're claiming that to be the same as the Amazon deal. I didn't notice that before.
Right, okay. Okay. Well, I wonder if it's anything to do with returns. Would they get an increase in returns after Christmas? Where people have maybe gone, oh, I don't like that, I'd rather have this instead or something. So they might take the deal off the table in the run-up to Christmas because too many people would take it out.
Right, yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? If you know,
We'll
do tell us.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll wind up the show because I've got to go and get a new battery for my car. It's almost 1 o'clock and I've got to be there for 2. It takes me half an hour to get there.
Okay.
Right, so if you want to get in touch with us, you can by emailing us at gareth@techaddicts.uk. You can also find us on Twitter at techaddictsuk. You can find me on Twitter too at Gareth Myles, at GarethMyles. And I also have my .com for stuff, for shits and giggles. Ted, where can they find you?
At tedsalmon.com. Links from there to everything that I'm involved in, including all the Mewe groups and all the audio podcasts. If you want to buy me a coffee, you can do that at paypal.me/tedsalmon.
All right, okay. Well, we'll speak to you. We still have another podcast, don't we, before Christmas? Yes.
Yeah,
one more,
more.
And then we're going to take a 3-week
Have you
break.
Have you told listeners to expect a 3-week break until now?
Well, yeah and no. We're not going to be podcasting on the 18th or the 25th or the 1st. I'm going to have a nice break. I can't wait. It's a lot to do each week, to do these and to edit them and put them up and get them out. And, you know, Dad does so much research into putting out the show notes beforehand and making sure that things are sensibly done. So if you fancy doing something for us for this Christmas, do a little thing for Ted, buy something off Amazon using his link, or send him a wee pint or a coffee or something like that over Christmas, just to make his Christmas a wee bit specialer.
Very good.
Yeah.
But we will be back next week for one more.
All right. Take care, and we'll speak to you then.
Bye.